The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
Hello folks, welcome back to Solihull for round number 4. We've gone through 3 of them now on one continuous walk and I'm still going. Thankfully the sun is starting to get past its sort of middle distance now. It will start to cool down as we head towards the end of this huge walk. My feet are definitely feeling it. I'm really hot and sweaty, but the show must go on. So let's carry on. This is parish number 4 and it's called Fordbridge. Fordbridge, bridge at the ford. I'm not going to lie, by this point my feet were feeling it, but we plough on. Welcome to Fordbridge, parish number 4 in Solihull. Even though Kingshurst, which we saw yesterday, is the most village-like of the places we've encountered so far, it's this one that to me felt the most rural. The irony is that Fordbridge is actually a town, despite the fact it has the lowest population of the 4 we've so far set foot in. Politics, isn't it a wonderful grey area? Fordbridge is bordered by Kingshurst to the north, and the two share control of a long straight road called Cook's Lane. A significant part of the town borders the city of Birmingham to the west, whilst the River Cole shapes the border between Fordbridge and the massively urban parish of Chelmsley Wood to the south. Fordbridge gets its name from a crossing over the Cole on Cook's Lane, which was referred to literally as Ford Bridge on some 19th century OS maps. The name suggests that the site was previously a ford until at some point someone came along and built a bridge in order to allow a safer, more convenient passage over the river. There are several other ford bridges in the UK, but most of them are small hamlets or little villages, and it would be so easy to confuse them with this if it wasn't such a huge urban metropolis. This one is again a huge clump of housing, and it doesn't have all that many interesting landmarks. It has several parks, a few schools, and of course water in the form of the River Cole and the Kingshurst Brook, which surround the whole thing on 3 sides. We should be through this one pretty quickly. Let's get to it and check out parish number 4. Right, so from the get-go in this one, I'll level with you. Fordbridge has virtually no recorded history, and there's a very good reason why. Fordbridge is another parish that came about thanks to the mass building of new housing estates on the edge of Birmingham following World War II. In the 1950s, when Kingshurst was being constructed, Fordbridge was still a wide open space with very little of note. There were certainly no big tower blocks. Ever since then, the fields have all gradually disappeared under a mass of brand new housing, and we already know the deal with that, so there's no need to repeat ourselves. Instead, what we will do is make our way through this urban jungle and talk a bit about what's been built on the land, since this was all countryside. Fordbridge does pretty well for itself when it comes to facilities. Religiously, it's well catered for, although it doesn't have its own Anglican church. It does, though, possess a church. This here is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on Clopton Crescent. Literally right next to it is the Kingshurst District Labour Club. Fordbridge doesn't have a lot of pubs. I've noticed this seems to be an issue with a lot of people when reading through several online community groups. When these brand new estates were built, pubs were built with them, although a lot have gone to the wall. Some have been lost, like the local for example in Smith's Wood. Others have closed and reopened several times. That's been the general story behind this one, the Centurion on 4th Drive. This was a well-loved boozer in the 70s and 80s from what I can gather. It is still open though.
Now, of course, overlooking the Centurion pub there, you've got a massive tower block. Now, we've seen a few of these tower blocks already on our walk around this place, but we haven't really gone into any detail with them. So let's talk a bit about this one in particular behind us, and some more which we'll see not in the not too distant future.
So far on this huge walk, we haven't seen a great deal of these things, tower blocks, but get ready. We're now in an area where high-rise flats are commonplace. Did you know that between Fordbridge and Chelmsley Wood there were once 51 of these tower blocks? Some of them have been torn down now, but the vast majority remain. These two sit at the southern end of Forth Drive and go by the names of Wedgwood House and Westham House. Let's walk to the other end of the road where there's two more. It's funny how most tower blocks all look the same, isn't it? I imagine they are actually, both externally and internally. Let's put that theory to the test though. There's a website out there that details practically all of these tower blocks across Chelmsley Wood. Let's compare what the information says for these two. This one is Keele House. It has 14 stories and contains 82 flats. The block was approved as part of a building plan called Area 9 North in 1968, and by 1970 it was complete. It was built by Bryant using the Bison construction technique. Standing right next to Keele is another block called Bangor House. If you use the same website, which by the way is called UK Housing Fandom, you'll see that Bangor House is a carbon copy. Same builders, same technique, and same number of stories and flats. These blocks typify the brief which building companies had in the 1960s and 70s. Design something that works and then basically copy and paste it across the entire area. Those two blocks sit close to this church, the Connection Church Centre on Cook's Lane. Let's walk down this road. Almost dead straight, it pretty much defines the Fordbridge Kingshurst border.
Okay, we have reached Cook's Lane. Now, as we learned yesterday, this is the boundary in a roundabout way between Fordbridge and Kingshurst. It's not an exact science because the boundary doesn't run straight down the middle of it. It's very close though. And at this point here, it crosses the River Cole, which is down there. And this bridge, well, that's the Fordbridge.
This bridge is perhaps the most important landmark on the road. Centuries ago, this bridge, which crosses the River Cole, was the one that would give the place its name, Fordbridge. The chances are, although nobody knows for sure, that there was an actual ford here which people used to get across the river. At some point in the 19th century, long before those tower blocks came along, the ford would be replaced by a bridge. OS maps from 1900 even label it as Fordbridge. The bridge you see here today is likely much newer, having probably been rebuilt at some point when all the housing came along. It's likely much wider now too. Hundreds, if not thousands of vehicles cross Fordbridge every day, and the chances are most of them have no idea it was this very structure that was the key to the development of the area. Much like Smith's Wood, Fordbridge is another parish that's pretty handy when it comes to educational provision. There are quite a few schools here. As mentioned yesterday, the main senior school which Kingshurst children usually attend is Tudor Grange Academy. That too is on Cook's Lane on the Fordbridge side of the border. It's a co-educational secondary school and sixth form. Tudor Grange Academy was previously known as CTC Kingshurst Academy, with CTC standing for City Technology College. This was the only City Technology College to offer post-16 students the opportunity to study the International Baccalaureate instead of A-levels. Under the former name, the establishment opened in 1988 as Britain's first CTC and specialist school in England, under the watchful eye of Valerie Bragg. The Academy has since developed a partnership bringing together the worlds of industry, commerce and education, and that's seen some very good results. The Academy now accommodates over 1,600 students of all abilities from 11 to 19 years of age, most of whom come from eastern areas of Birmingham and northern areas of Solihull. When the college opened, 83% of students in the area were leaving school at 16 with few prospects of employment. However, in 2006, more than 80% of the school's children continue with education to post-16, either at Kingshurst or at other colleges. That's a massive improvement. Technically, CTC Kingshurst Academy was registered as a company limited by guarantee, whilst also being registered as a charity. A spin-out from that company was 3Es, which was responsible for the formation of the Kingshurst Foundation. That was a confederation of schools. The initial schools in the federation were King's College in Guildford and King's International College in Camberley. The school has facilities available for use by the surrounding community via advance booking. These include a floodlit 3G pitch, 2 tennis courts, a sports hall, a gym and a dance studio. It also has an outdoor learning centre, including a replica World War I trench, a replica Saxon village, a low ropes course, a pond and more. And it's had a few notable pupils. This is quite a little list. Since 1988, this school has educated R&B megastar Jamelia, the actresses Laura Rollins and Keir Pegg, and the professional wrestler Pete Dunne.
Well, I'm pleased to be off Cook's Lane. It's quite noisy, especially at this time of day because schools have just turned out, so there's traffic all over the place. I'm now on a nice shady footpath between the school and the sports pitches here. Now I think these sports pitches belong to the school. Not totally sure about that. It doesn't really matter. They're in use anyway, so shouldn't really be pointing the camera at them. So let's continue down this path. And this will take us to another sporty area. Easy for me to say when I've been walking around for 6.5 hours. The North Solihull Sports Centre is next on our list. After following that path, which runs alongside the school, we're now at the North Solihull Sports Centre on Chelmsley Road. In this day and age, when health is more important than ever, this place provides the residents of Fordbridge and Chelmsley Wood with a huge variety of facilities to enjoy. As the main leisure centre in the area, North Solihull Sports Centre has a state-of-the-art 120-station gym, a 33-metre swimming pool, several fitness studios and so much more. If you're over 75, there's also no reason to avoid this place. Here, if you're over that age, you can work out for free during off-peak hours with a special membership card. Nice one. This is the modern version of the sports centre. There was a much older one that predated this, but it became run down and very dated. It's good to see reinvestment in this sort of thing. Next up we have another school. Do you remember yesterday we mentioned that Kingshurst has a very large Catholic community? Well, here in Fordbridge there's a senior Catholic school. This is John Henry Newman Catholic College, but it was formerly known as Archbishop Grimshaw School. It opened in 1970 and changed its name in 2011, but it still does the same job in effect. At the same time, the school converted to academy status. Its most recent Ofsted report from 2012 and 2013 rated this school as outstanding. It has approximately 1,300 students and over 70 staff. On the school's website, there's a lengthy piece about the man who used to lend his name to this school, Archbishop Grimshaw. So, who was he? His full name was Francis Joseph Grimshaw, and he was the Archbishop of Birmingham from 1954 until his death in 1965. He wasn't from Birmingham. In fact, he wasn't even from the West Midlands. He came from Bridgewater in Somerset, where he grew up in a family that had strong Catholic connections. After studying in Rome, he was ordained in 1926 and consecrated as Bishop of Plymouth in 1947, and was reappointed as Archbishop of Birmingham by the Pope 7 years later. The move was actually rather coincidental because Grimshaw is a well-known name in Solihull. In Solihull itself is Grimshaw Hall. It was built in about 1560 and was occupied by a family of Grimshaws for about 150 years, starting in 1620. There was, though, apparently, no connection between the Archbishop and Grimshaw Hall. That's because the hall was named in the 1600s, long before the Archbishop was even born. So therefore, the proximity of Grimshaw Hall and Archbishop Grimshaw School is too coincidental. Okay, a lot of residential stuff coming at you in a few moments time. We're going to be walking through another sea of housing to get to the end of this one. But before we do, we have another school to catch just there. There's loads of schools around here, isn't there? And a few other bits and bobs, including a park. And I'll just check my notes here. Oh yeah, another river.
Next to pass is Fordbridge Community Primary School and the Bosworth Medical Centre as we start to head south. Next on our list is Crabtree Hall. Crabtree Hall should not be confused with the grand old mansion in North Yorkshire, famously designed by John Carr. This is a little more subtle. It's a community centre. Do you remember Auckland Hall on the Carrs estate in Smith's Wood and how that's become something of a go-to space for the locals up there? Well, here it's the same sort of thing. A few years ago, Crabtree Hall was run down and in need of something fresh to keep it relevant. That's when a group came along, transforming the building into what it is now. Crabtree Hall is now entirely dedicated to providing a safe space for young people aged 12 to 17 years. It's essentially a youth club where kids can chill, socialise and have fun. Urban Herd, the group that run it, also ensure they have access to mentoring and activities to boost their self-esteem and development. They provide a very popular after-school club and run several helpful projects designed to support young parents and children who are not in school. Essentially, Urban Herd can be defined as a community interest company on a mission to work with young people, helping them to learn skills, get paid and build confidence. As we all know, life can throw young people all sorts of problems. These guys at Crabtree Hall help them deal with practically everything, whilst also offering paid employment to 14 to 17-year-olds. One thing you might have noticed about Fordbridge as we've been walking around is just how much there is in terms of green space. Although it's a town by definition, Fordbridge has quite a bit of greenery. You have to remember it's not that long ago that the whole thing was fields. Parts of the countryside that it's built upon were left open purposely in order to give it a semi-rural feel in places. We already know about Kingfisher Park, for example, on the Kingshurst border. There are others. Here, for example, we have Chapel House Park, which occupies a fairly large chunk of greenery on Fordbridge's western border. Follow me now along Chapel House Road as we make our way towards another one, lining the banks of an ancient watercourse. First, though, we have yet another school. They do have lots of these around here, don't they? Mind you, I suppose with such a high population it stands to reason.
Well, again, we're in another quiet, peaceful area. Not much traffic down here. This isn't a major road. What this does basically is it just loops around the sort of southern reaches of Fordbridge, the sort of, main residential areas. There is another school down here, believe it or not. Schools all over the place, I tell you. This one, you can see now, is Grace Academy.
This is Grace Academy, a non-selective co-educational secondary which opened in 2006, replacing the former Whitesmore school. It's a specialist business and enterprise college. Whitesmore, which stood on an adjacent site, was opened on September the 5th, 1969. It was the first comprehensive school to be built in Chelmsley Wood. It occupied 10 blocks and catered for children aged 11 to 18, and it stayed that way until it closed in July 2006. Grace Academy didn't forget its Whitesmore roots though. When it was completed, a time capsule of mementos from Whitesmore was buried at Grace. I wonder, what does it hold? Whilst the River Cole might be the main watercourse here in Fordbridge, there is a second one to consider. This is the Kingshurst Brook, which joins the River Cole at Meriden Park just to the south of Wedgwood House and Westham House on Forth Drive. Whilst it is a natural watercourse, it has been artificially straightened, quite a lot in fact. Before all of this urban spread, Kingshurst Brook was liable to flood. In fact, if you look on maps from 100 years ago, you can see the words liable to flooding pretty much all the way along its course. Now essentially canalised, the brook rarely floods anymore. Kingshurst Brook is only a short waterway. It runs for around 1.58 kilometres and most of it defines the border between Fordbridge and Chelmsley Wood. Together with Hatchford Brook, it drains an area of around 45 square kilometres and forms part of the Tame, Lower Rivers and Lakes catchment area. Our route will end shortly at Meriden Park, where the brook has recently undergone some more modern remedial work for a few other reasons. More on that tomorrow.
So by following this path, which is alongside the Kingshurst Brook, you're actually on the parish boundary with the last one. Now, as tempting as it might be for me to nip across into the last one here, I still have a couple of landmarks left in Fordbridge to catch before we do. Not many of them though. I think there are 3 of them, or maybe 4. Yeah, I think it's 4. I can't even read my own writing sometimes.
Now we've reached Bosworth Drive, and this is the Bosworth Community Centre, another social space for the locals. I didn't find a great deal about this one. However, during research it did throw up something I think is important. Next door to this is a separate building known as the Riverside Family Hub. Across Solihull there are 4 family hubs. They are Elmwood in Smithswood, Evergreen in Kingshurst, Hatchford Brook in Elmdon, and of course, Riverside. Family hubs are local centres where children, young people, parents and carers in Solihull can access support and take part in fun activities. The Family Hubs team work with partner organisations such as the NHS to help Solihull residents get in touch with local services. These are services that include things like parental guidance and special educational needs support. In this day and age, that sort of thing is vital in urban areas. The hubs allow community groups to hold activity sessions in them for free so they can invest in their services. This whole area seems to be community themed. Sticking with Bosworth Drive, next we have the C's Bar and Function Rooms, essentially a village hall in all but name. Let's head up 9 Acres Drive next, where we'll find another church which is based within yet another communal building. The church in question is the Chelmsley Wood Reformed Baptist Church, whose meetings are held in this, the Fordbridge Centre. They are an independent church within the Grace Baptist Communion, and they hold to Reformed Calvinistic doctrines such as the Westminster Confession of Faith of 1689. Membership of the church is open to baptised people who can prove they've been converted through personal faith in Christ. The Fordbridge Centre is a local authority-owned hall, and in itself it's not a religious building. It's good to see, though, it's in use. We see so many of these that aren't.
Okay, last on the list here in Fordbridge is yet another school, but this one's a bit unusual. It's this building here. Let's check it out.
The last landmark on this route is, guess what, yet another school. This one's perhaps the most unusual of the lot though. This is the Solihull campus of the WMG Academy for Young Engineers. It's a mixed university technical college which opened in 2016 and caters for students aged 14 to 19. The academy is part of the same trust that looks after the WMG Academy for Young Engineers in Coventry. So what exactly is WMG? Let's explain. The acronym WMG is the modern name for the Warwick Manufacturing Group, founded in 1980 by Kumar Bhattacharya. It was set up to support the reinvigoration of UK manufacturing through research and knowledge transfer. Bhattacharya was made a life peer in 2004 when he became chairman of WMG. Its first venture was a part-time master's degree for senior industry staff. The course proved popular with industry, and companies began to send staff to WMG in greater numbers. Bhattacharya then decided to provide industry-related research services too, after convincing the University of Warwick to become financially involved. They would loan money for a centre where academics could collaborate with industrialists on the development of new products for the aerospace and automotive industries. The resulting centre was officially opened in 1990 by Margaret Thatcher, and its success and the income it generated allowed WMG to build 2 further buildings. Now, WMG deals with things like healthcare, construction, pharmaceuticals, mining, IT and food and drink, as well as keeping a hand in the manufacturing industry too. WMG has strong links in China, where it's been engaged since the 1980s. It also has a presence in India, where it helped establish a technical university. We have reached the border with Chelmsley Wood. On the border, there's a big park called Chelmsley Wood Local Nature Reserve, which is part of Meriden Park. This will be our starting point for the final parish in this run. By this point, I was totally worn out, but I kept going. Join me tomorrow for the end of this fabulous walk. Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.